Hello and welcome to this new interview to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Italian Center for Single Session Therapy. I am Simona Turiello and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Sara Luis. Sara is a registered mental health nurse and has worked in mental health services for over 25 years. She is the CEO of Normal Magic Personal Wellbeing Services, which specializes in single session therapy across the age range from 0 to 100 and plus. She is also the director of the upcoming Single Session Therapy Symposium, that is the sixth symposium in the history of single session therapy. So, welcome, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you to taking the time. So, during these interviews, we want to know from your own perspective about the past, present, and future of single session therapy. So, the first question I would like to ask you is how did you first fall in love with the single session therapy?
Yeah, good question, Simona. It was around 2016, so 10 years now, where we were commissioned. I was working at that point for NHS Services, which is our statutory mental health services here in the UK. And we had to deliver a program to sort of educators, but they could only access us once. And it was about supporting them in their role, either with children or young people or just in their role in general. But they could normally only access us once. So we had to develop a way of working where that one interaction was useful. And so that was the start of our journey. We didn't actually know that single session therapy was a global model at that point. It was in later years that we learnt more about, refining our method of single session activity. And of course, then learned about all the many brilliant clinicians and practitioners across the world delivering it. So we were able to refine our model. And then, fell in love with it, truly fell in love with it, I think, during sort of the COVID year. So as you know, we all went into lockdown, and part of our role in the service at that time was managing new referrals into the mental health service. So we responded by phoning them all and just having that one conversation. And it was amazing. We just didn't, our whole shape changed in terms of being a clinician. And I guess that's where we fell in love with it and couldn't go back. So yeah, life has grown since that time.
Yeah, I can imagine. I think lots of clinicians all over the world, as we know by the literature, started using single session therapy before calling
Yeah,
that way.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing. Okay. So, and how about Italian Center? Would you tell us how and when your professional journey met the Italian Center?
Yeah, good question again. So during I think it was about 22 and 23, 2022 and 2023, we had left statutory services, the NHS services, to set up Normal Magic, and really wanted to connect with the world who were delivering single session work to kind of, really home in our practice. And I came across Flavio. And so I reached out to Flavio. I was telling everybody how much I loved them and their work. And it was early 2023 when I met Flavio. And of course, he was a director of Single Session Symposium 4, which was later in that year in 2023. So that conversation, he was just so brilliant and welcoming and friendly, and I felt we clicked immediately, and I couldn't get enough of him and the work that you guys were doing out there. And then that led to me coming out to Rome to join that symposium and presented our work there. And just Flavio was just such an open book in terms of sharing his knowledge and his experience, and putting together that whole conference was just such a pivotal point in my career with single session activity. So Flavio was a key part really of our own kind of joining the world, I guess, and becoming part of that international community. And if he hadn't have presented that conference in that way, then perhaps we wouldn't have all created these long-lasting relationships. So Flavio was a key part, and of course he's a key part of your centre over there.
Yeah. I'm so glad to hear about that. The connection, the connections that starts and continues over
Yeah.
the years. And so, from the first encounters with the single session therapy and Italian Center, and of course Flavio, let's move to your work today. How
Yeah.
do you use single session therapy in your professional life today?
Yeah. So what we as a Normal Magic, so Normal Magic is the company that I work with or created, along with my business partners, Steve and Suman, and a whole bunch of very brilliant nurses and clinicians. We have a joint mission really to improve the way that we deliver mental health services and can access mental health services. So in England, I don't know what it's like in Italy, but in England, mental health services are normally accessed with a threshold and a criteria of your symptoms and perhaps the impact of your symptoms. But what we wanted to do was replicate what we call the GP model. So our general, our GP, our doctor, we can access around our health without a referral. There's no threshold. We don't have to fit a criteria, and we are not opened and discharged. It's a constant available access to address our physical health concerns, and we want to replicate that with mental health. So we're lucky enough to be working in GP surgeries across Devon and Cornwall, and that's exactly what we deliver. So for children and young people and families, we deliver the single session therapy. You come in as many times as you like, as you know, with single session therapy. In the same way, we go as many times as we need to our doctor about physical problems. So, you come as many times you want. We focus on what you want to focus on, and you don't need to rebook. You come and go as you would your GP. And we now deliver the adults, as you said earlier. We're now across the age range. So the adult service is same day access, which means that patients of the surgery might ring up their surgery and say they want to speak to someone, or they're worried about their mental health, and they then get us. So they get a trained, experienced mental health clinician who can give them more than what the GP can give them. And we do that by using single session therapy. So it's a brilliant way of working, as you will know. I think everybody that we speak to takes a lot from our time with them. And as a clinician, being able to respond to people at point of need is such a heart. I don't know. I want to say heartwarming. That's probably not the right phrase, but it's a beautiful thing to be able to do, because over here in our mental health services, where there are thresholds and criteria, there are long waits, and people don't often get seen at point of need. So
Yeah.
single session therapy fills that gap, and actually our mission is to bring an equity between physical and mental health care. So that's what we're doing in our day-to-day world with single session
Yeah.
therapy.
Yeah, and of course in Italy it's the same.
Mm.
And I can see, I can read it in your eyes, but I actually want to ask you explicitly, why the name Normal Magic?
Ah. So Normal Magic, I actually wrote it as a program back in 2016, and we've refined it. Obviously, we've had 10 years to refine it, but it's a way of helping a clinician be present with a kind of single session model, and also helps the help seeker access the most from that session. So normal is a reminder that everybody's normal is different. And for me to check my bias of what I'm hearing from someone, how I'm measuring what their normal is, that's irrelevant. What they think their normal is and how far off their normal they are is the center of the session, not what I would consider a norm. Does that make sense? So our normal is unique to all of us. So it's about establishing what that normal is for someone, how they might normally sort of regulate themselves or problem solve or sit with distress. What does that normally look like just for them? And it will be different, you know, for you and I, Simona, it will be different for both of us. And it's no good me suggesting to you what works for me, because that may be very different to what works for you. So it's your normal that is the center of the game. And then magic is, it stands for, it's a reminder about how we're being as clinicians. So me is about, the M, sorry, is about me. So how am I being in this moment? Am I being present and attentive enough? Because that's what this person needs and deserves, and that's what they've accessed. So I need to check the me. Am I being directional, or because that's not okay? So am I checking? I'm checking the me all the time. The A stands for active listening. And I think a lot of the time we can think we're listening well, but we may be listening with a bias, or we may be interpreting and therefore listening in a wrong way. So active listening is, it just reminds us, are we actually listening to this person from their perspective and their experience of life? That's how we need to listen. G and I in magic, they kind of hold hands. So G is about generating the help seekers what next, not my what next. My what next is irrelevant. I may have a part in their what next, but it's their design. And I is about being inspired by the strengths and the resources that they already have, because we are all here. We've all survived all sorts of things. Somehow we get through. So what is that, and how can we be inspired by someone's story or their method of managing their story? And inspiring is, you know, sometimes there might be a different perspective that we can hear, and we invite the help seeker to perhaps be interested in looking at it from a different angle if they want to, or, you know, widening their catalogue of sort of strategies to regulate or overcome or sit with their distress, or whatever is needed for them. So the G and I is generating their what next by being inspired by what they do, and inspiring with perhaps an exploration of different things. And the final bit, C, is about complementing, and complementing the accessing a conversation to facilitate the self-led change. And I think we're not very good, certainly here in the UK, we're not very good at help seeking. So to be able to, and I don't just mean compliment somebody, but somebody has chosen to trust you with their story. And, you know, that's a privileged position that we're in. And I think people need, you know, I think we're grateful for that, because, you know, they don't have to. And we're trusted with all sorts of depths of stories, and some stories that have never been shared before. So to complement the fact that they're being articulate about that, and that they're seeking their own change with that, I think that's an important bit. So that's what Normal Magic stands for. So it is a model of reminding us as clinicians how to be, but also as a help seeker to not take responsibility, because we all take responsibility, but to own their part in their next steps.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. It really summarizes somehow the mindset of single session
Yeah.
therapy, and the way you work, and also the goal you put in your head with your services. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
So, moving forward,
Sure.
what do you think is the future of single session therapy, since you also have a role in it?
Yes. Well, so the future from our Normal Magic position is I think there needs to be an equity in how we provide healthcare between physical healthcare and mental healthcare. And I think single session therapy has a role in that. We are very familiar with the single session practice that GPs give us for our physical healthcare. So we go in about that one problem, and we're very trained to communicate in that 8 or 15 minutes, whatever we have. And I think mental health care has the same, can work in the same way. And I think that will help, I believe, in bringing about an improved community mental health, but also the onward sort of impact of demand on services with thresholds and criteria. I think they're demanded upon because there's nothing in between. Or if there are things here in the UK in between, there's still threshold and there's still criteria led. Whereas, our model is there is no threshold and there is no criteria. And you come in, if you're worried about something and it's impacting on you, you come in. So for us, the future with single session therapy, I think it has to be considered as part of a statutory service to whole health wellbeing. That's our mission to kind of to continue to demonstrate and evidence. And of course, we've got the conference next year, as you said. So got some big boots to fill from Flavio and previous conference facilitators, but I have a brilliant work with a brilliant international team, and of course the Normal Magic team bringing that together. But I think the future for single session therapy in that context is the world is doing some amazing stuff to improve access to mental health care. And, as a community of single session therapists and single session practitioners, we need to learn from each other and, not work in our silos like many kind of areas seem to work in, and share this kind of amazing opportunity to improve mental health care by learning from each other. So that's what the conference will do, is bring together this global learning and sharing so that we can all go back to our own countries and speed up the availability of single session therapy to our communities.
That's great. Thank you. And before concluding this interview, would you give us a brief comment or wish for the future of the Italian Center for Single Session Therapy in the occasion of its 10th anniversary?
Well, that's an easy one to do, Simona, because, for me, the Italian Centre has been at the centre of our own growth in the world of single session therapy. And in 10 years, you guys have just, created not just a local service for Italians, but for a massive influence into the whole world. So I think, first of all, thank you for everything you do and for inspiring, literally inspiring globally, but to continue doing that, continue that developing and growth and sharing across countries, because you are at the center of so much brilliant stuff that's growing, and, it would be completely criminal to keep that to yourselves. So I thank you for not keeping it to yourselves and for sharing it wide and far, and for also being, incredibly welcoming of other people from other countries to connect with you and find out more. So it's not just about you guys reaching out. It's you have this brilliant way of building and sustaining relationships globally. So I think don't stop what you're doing. Thank you for what you're doing. We are constantly in awe of you and look up to you. So, my wish would be that you simply don't stop.
Thank you so much. Really, that was moving. Thank you.
Ah,
Thank you so much, Sarah, for the time and the sharing you had with me today. For me, it has been a really pleasure, and I really hope to see you in the UK next year for the symposium.
yeah. That would
And
be amazing. Yeah, come on down to Exeter.
I hope to to do that. And so again, thank you. Good luck with your organization because I know it's not something so easy.
Indeed.
And have a wonderful or magical day.
Ah, thank you, Simona, and thank you for making me feel so welcome and making this a very relaxed conversation. So thank you. Have a beautiful 10th anniversary celebration out there. I wish I was there to join in with all the different things that you're doing, but we're sending our love to you.
You're welcome anytime you want to join. The celebration is up to December, so you have
I need
time.
to hop on that plane.
We will send you the scheduling.
I'd love that. I'd love that. That would be awesome. Cool. Thank you so
Okay.
much, Simona.
Thank
Have
to
a
you.
lovely
Thank
day for
you.
you too. Take
You
care.
too. Bye. Bye.